Microbiology might just have a direct effect on your life, as microbiology might just change the future on this earth. It's the science that studies microorganisms, such as bacteria, viruses, and parasites. It's the one that is responsible for discovering antibiotics and vaccines. That is one of the most used medical drugs. So let's have a better understanding on these thoughts. Antibiotics is a very key drug that people use because bacteria is one of the most common infections that people have. You've already experienced that, and probably you have, or someone else that is close to you have consumed antibiotics before. For a better understanding of this segment, let's understand what are the bacteria and what are the microorganisms. As I said, the microorganisms, there are bacteria, viruses, parasites, such as other things. Each one of them has different characteristics, and these characteristics that separates them from one another. However, in each one of them, there is different type. Let's take bacteria as an example. There's different types of bacteria, and each one of them has different characteristics, such as sizes, such as the way or how they live, the mode of transmissions, so as other things. So one of the most interesting thing about bacteria is that each one of them lives in a different environment. Some of them are aerobic, which means that they need oxygen. Some of them are anaerobic, which means that they don't live in the environments that has oxygen in. Some of them are aerobic and anaerobic, which means that they can live in oxygen or without oxygen. And there is other types as well, such as some of them that lives in acid, some of them that lives in basic fluids, and goes on. And the reason behind me telling you this is that every antibiotic is specific to a sort or a type of bacteria, because every antibiotic has a different attack mechanisms, and every bacteria has different defense mechanisms. Some bacteria have common weak points, and those antibiotics attacks those weak points. And the list goes on. One of the things that are also interesting, which is spores. If you have watched the show that is called The Last of Us or played the game, I believe that it's mentioned in the show and the game, which is spores. So spores in the game, in the show, it's related to fungus. However, it can be also in bacteria. In bacteria, it's a form of resistance. It's fire resistance, and also it protects the bacteria from agents, physical agents, and other things. Which means that when the bacteria is in an environment that is unsuitable for her survival, she can go to spore modes. When we're talking about this, I'm not saying that this is the case for every bacteria. Just specific bacteria that they have this option. And the same goes for fungi, but not all of the fungus has the same thing, because it can be just a stage of its life. However, let's move on to the second step, which is now microbiology. We're using antibiotics, we're using vaccines, we're using some other things. Let's mention some few of them. So the first one that microbiology is always beneficial, which is sustaining the balance of life. Whether we're talking about soil bacteria or we're talking about the human body, we have something that is called the microbiome. In the human body, we have so many bacteria that helps us to survive and does more than one task for us. As an example, take the palm of the hand. In your hand, probably you have more than 10,000 types of bacteria. You have 10,000 bacteria in the palm of your hand. And the same goes for your intestines and more than one part of your body. And those bacteria are usually beneficial. Some of them are not. Some of them are occasional, some of them are opportunist, but these are just in detail. So let's make the picture wide and let's not get into detail. Let's talk about the future and how microbiology can affect the human life in the future. Microbiology now, it has so many research. One of the latest research that I found very interesting is In Tokyo, Japan, they have made an experience about fungi. They have made Tokyo but smaller, with all of the routes, all of the ways, all of the train stations and the train routes. And they put fungi at the beginning, and they've made the nutritions that fungi eats in the other part. The fungi have chosen among all of the ways that they have given him best decision on the way. What's interesting about this is that the fungi has chosen the ways that are train ways in Tokyo. What is more interesting is that those train ways are made by people that have studied for years. We're talking about logistics, engineering, statistics, all of that. And they have studied for years to choose the right routes, while fungi has made it in less than few seconds. And this is a very interesting experiment when we're thinking about how a very small creature can do the work that humans have done in years with certain qualifications and certain study degrees, which is very interesting when we see how the mother nature gives us ability that even with all of this technology we cannot achieve. So this opens a few doors in the future that people can use these microbiology inventions. Also, one of the most interesting aspects of microbiology is when we're talking about genes and DNA and how it can play a crucial role in the future. The studies has been going for years and years now, and at any point now it can be a discovering or an invention about this topic. However, there is other uses of microbiology, such as in pharma and food and in soil, as I said, and agriculture, and all of these are just aspects of microbiology. I hope that I've helped you to understand the importance of microbiology and its potential to affect the human future on Earth. I hope that I've helped you, and always remember to heal, inspire, and teach, and see you in the next one.